The consistency that it takes to pick back up a dream is what dreaming is all about. Welcome to another episode of Living Life in Tune. I'm your host, Adam Lee. This is the show where we talk about being intentional, keeping things in tune in our life, the things that matter most, like love, faith, purpose, personal growth, manhood. I mean, you name it. Lots of important stuff that we got to stay intentional and stay on top of so that we can keep it in tune. And this episode is episode 24. It's going to be called Pick It Back Up. But before I get into it, if you missed episode 23, I want you to go back and watch that. I had a wonderful conversation with my dad for Father's Day, and it was so cool to have him on the show with me, and I loved it. And I want you to go back and watch that episode 23 because it was amazing. So, episode 24 today is going to be called Pick It Back Up. And today I want to encourage you to dream. Dreams and goals are those things in our life that we start and we stop and we start and we stop. We all know what it's like to have New Year's resolutions turn into halfway year disappointments. And we start big in the beginning and we get disappointed in the middle and we quit. And then we try to pick it back up and we fizzle out again. And dreaming is so important to our life, to do things, accomplish things, to be productive. And one of the most important parts of dreaming is the consistency that it takes to pick it back up again. After you set a dream down, we all set dreams down. If you're watching today and you think you're perfect and you just never set down a dream, I'm sorry, this is not your podcast. You need to just check out another podcast. We are all human. We dream and we fail and we dream and we set it down and we got to pick it back up. The consistency that it takes to pick back up a dream is what dreaming is all about. So today, I want to encourage you, pick it up again. You know, dreaming has been the theme of my year. It's been the theme of my church. We started off the year in January dreaming, and we talked about dreaming. We inspired ourselves to dream, and so that's been a personal emphasis of mine since January. And I could tell you, I was talking with my wife last night, and it really has been a dream year for us so far. For me personally, this has been a dream year. I have done things this year that I've never dreamed I would do, or I never dreamed I would do this quickly. So just going over some of these things in my life. I went to Africa at the beginning of the year, a Compassion International missions trip to Tanzania, Africa. I could stop right there. It's been a dream year. Starting this podcast was the result of a dream. Something a little bit unique to me and maybe a little bit smaller, but pulling a camper. My wife and I were talking, man, it's been a dream year already. And I'm like, yeah, tell me about it. This is my first time ever pulling a camper. And that dream of taking the family camping, pulling a camper behind my truck, it became a reality. Something even smaller, but opening a pool for the first time. This has been a year of the firsts for me. It's my first time going to Africa, really my first time going anywhere 22 plus hours away on a plane ride. My first time starting a podcast, my first time opening a pool, my first time pulling a camper. Man, it's just been a dream year. And then I have starting a business on the side, teaching people how to play music. That's the first time I've ever done anything like this. It's just been such a cool year so far, and it's only halfway over. So it's been a dream year, but it's also been a year where I picked something back up that I had set down. And some of you have heard me talk about this before, and I'm going to ask you a question again before we dive in here. Have you set down a dream? Have you set down a dream? Did you start the year strong with something and then have to set it down? Your life got sidetracked. Your circumstances got difficult. You had to set down a dream. I have talked about this before on the show. I had set down the dream of songwriting. And we put down dreams all the time. So songwriting in my life has been something that when I'm doing it, God is blessing it. He is using it to change me. He's using it to change other people. He's using it to raise up other musicians and worshipers. And anytime I'm holding that dream and walking in it, God is blessing it. And I have the habit over the years, as do we all, of just setting that dream down and letting time go by without songwriting. Years even go by. So I'll pick it up and then I'll set it down. I'll pick it up, God will bless it, and then I'll set it down. Over and over and over. This is the habit that some of us fall into, most of us fall into with our dreams. Pick it up, God blesses it, we put it back down. Pick it up, God, and then sometimes we forget about it and it lies dormant in our life for the rest of our life. And we don't ever pick a dream back up. So mine is songwriting. And I know some of you today have given up on a dream. Maybe it's a hobby that you used to love, but you don't have time for anymore. You know, God's given us gifts and abilities, and maybe you've just neglected the main thing that you know you're supposed to be doing. Maybe it's a business venture that you had, and then you just set that dream down. Maybe it's a relationship that you've given up on. You've set the dream of a relationship. You've just set it down. And man, I know what that's like. I can relate to setting things down, setting dreams down. Maybe it's just a dream that you have to accomplish something, and you set that down. Maybe it's losing weight and getting in shape. You know, that dream of finally losing that 15 pounds. I'm not talking to anyone specific. That's my goal this year. I started that too. But maybe it is finally getting back in shape, but you just set that thing down. And we do this maybe it's saving money for your financial goals. We do this all the time. We set down our dreams. And as I stated, the consistency to pick it back up again is what separates dreamers from just everybody else who doesn't do anything with their dreams. So this is called picking it back up. And I want to just inspire you today about my dream of songwriting. And something at the very beginning of the year that I picked back up. And I want to tell you a story about how that happened. So this is how my year started. Okay, in October of 2022, last year, a student in our church, a young lady from our youth ministry, she brought to me and another pastor that works on staff with me, an original song she had written down in her journal, some original lyrics that she wrote that she intended to write a song with. And she kind of already had an idea in her mind about how certain parts were going to go. And so that's how it started with me. I had set down the dream of songwriting for years. I mean, life gets busy. Our plates get very full. And we have the tendency to set down the things that are of least priority in our minds. And so songwriting was that for me. I had set it down for a couple of years. And in October of last year, this student brought us a song. And we scheduled time to work with her. And I was involved in songwriting once again. And I felt that feeling of, oh man, I need to do this. And that's usually how it starts. We get around a dream that we set down, and we get that tug, that gravitational pull that all dreams have, that just say, come on over and pick me back up. And I felt that. I felt like I needed to pick that back up. So we worked with that student to complete their song. And now we sing it. We actually sang it before the beginning of the year in our youth group. So it was so awesome. God used that to develop this student and to develop a team and to teach a youth group a new song, a new original song. And I was inspired at the beginning of the year to dream again, to pick back up what I had set down. And so I don't know what it is for you today, but I hope that this inspires you to go ahead and pick back up what you set down. Like I said, maybe it's a relationship, maybe it's a dream that you have to accomplish things, maybe it's a business venture that you set down. I hope that this episode got you close enough to it in your heart and in your mind to feel that, like, I need to pick it back up again. And so you need to pick back up something that you set down. I'm your messenger today. I'm your inspiration. Pick that thing back up. You know, for me, it was songwriting. At the beginning of the year, what this meant for me was getting out the notebook every morning to write lyrics. Sometimes it's just that the dream feels like it's too heavy to lift all at the same time. And man, I don't know how I'm ever going to lift that. But really what it is baby steps, bite-sized chunks. You know, a wise saying, wise question, how do you eat an elephant? Well, it's one bite at a time. Sometimes it's just the most baby steps that you need to take. For me, in songwriting, it was sitting down in the morning with a pen and a notebook and just writing down some lyrics on a piece of paper. And you know what I found out? God honors movement. God honors action. If you're moving in the direction of your dream, God honors movement. So as I'm writing on the paper, as I'm putting lyrics down, God honors that. He puts wind in your sails. As you take that baby step towards that dream that you set down, God honors movement every time. Trust me, I've seen it over and over again in my life. If you begin to take your first step, He will light up the next one. The Word of God says that He is faithful to light your steps. And if you take that next step, He's faithful to reveal the next one and the next one. And He honors movement. So the only way to picking back up a dream is to get moving. So I knew that for me, it meant getting out that notebook, writing those lyrics. It meant sitting down with an acoustic guitar and putting some music to these lyrics. And it meant putting a team together to share these ideas with. It meant working on a song until it's ready to go and it's ready to share. And it meant teaching people how to play. It meant getting the band together. It meant all of these little things. But let me tell you, God honored and blessed every step of that process. And now I'm happy to say that I have a song again this year that I'm proud of. And who knows, maybe you'll hear it one day at church. But God honors movement. And I've been so blessed lately by picking up something I set down, by picking up that gift in me that I knew is something I am responsible for. I can run with this. And so I want you to be blessed. I want you to pick it back up again. All of these little things that God has blessed me with this year along the way of picking back up a dream, I want you to experience that. He will bless your movement too. No matter how small of a step you take towards your dream, He will bless it. You know exactly where you left that dream sitting. You know exactly where you left that relationship hanging. You know exactly where you left that business idea. You know exactly where you left that energy you had to lose weight and to get in shape. You know exactly where you left it. I want to encourage you today to go back to that dream, to find it, to pick it up again, to go after it one step at a time. Allow God to bless your movement and allow your dreams to come back alive in your life, and see what won't happen if you do. God has put dreams inside of all of us. And hey, I'm right there with you. We have the tendency to pick it up for a while and put it down. Pick it up for a while and put it down. But I believe it is life's greatest failure if we put down a dream and we never go back to it. the God-given gifts and abilities. Man, for someone listening today, it's just a hobby. Maybe it's getting yourself an art easel and some paint and going outside on the deck and just painting because you know that God gave you something, and that might be your baby step towards it. But God puts dreams inside of all of us. And I think it's such a failure if we set it down and don't ever pick it back up again. I believe that there's things that God wants to do in you when you move towards that dream. And I believe that there's lives around you that will be positively affected because you picked that dream back up. Pick up that dream today. Go back to it. What is the baby steps? God blesses movement. So that's it for this episode. I pray that you begin to dream again. I pray that you are inspired to take a next step on a dream. And I'll be praying for you. It's super important. Thanks for listening to these episodes. And remember this, your life matters. So keep it in tune.